So if you've been dabbling in the finance world for a while, you've most likely heard of this guy, Mr. Ramit Sethi. He's the guy that'll tell you to continue to purchase lattes and still somehow become rich. It's a bold move. Now, I've read both of his books and I've also watched his Netflix special a few years back. And I gotta say, he has some valid points. I don't really know what he's gonna say in this video, but I gotta assume that he's probably gonna stick to the same guidelines that he wrote in his books. So like I said, I don't really know what he's gonna say, but I do know one thing, that if he tells me that I have to spend like $20,000 on a mattress, I might lose it. Let's see if this is actual financial wisdom or like just another like treat yourself TED talk. This is the video I'm gonna be reacting to. The title is "This is Controversial, but it will make you rich." So let's see what he's got.
Number one, you don't need to stop buying $5 coffees to get rich. You've all seen Kevin O'Leary, tired old boomer preaching the same old advice, walking around in his $6,000 custom suit telling everyday Americans that they need to stop buying coffee in order to become wealthy, when he himself knows very well that's not how he became wealthy. His net worth is over $400 million. You really think he got there by cutting back on an oat milk latte? The truth is, you're not going to nickel and dime your way to wealth. Okay, $5 over the grand scheme has no material effect on your wealth. What's much more important is to focus on the $30,000 questions instead of the $3 questions.
So, okay, first, to be honest, I feel like I never really liked Kevin O'Leary from like Shark Tank or anything else that he's done. He has some pretty hot takes. He's also like, seems pretty privileged. And he also just gave me like bully vibes. Am I the only one? Yeah. Also, a few times he's also stated like, yeah, if you check it out here, I'll put a picture of it, where he doesn't hire people that only want to work a 9 to 5. That's pretty crazy because like, I don't know, if I can't get my job done efficiently within like the time that's been given to me, then like something else is up. Here's where I'll disagree with Ramit. Much like your health, you do have to make some sacrifices in order to reach a goal, kind of like hard decisions you got to make in order to reach a goal in mind. So if my goal is to like lose weight, I should probably cut out specific things or at least lessen that thing. So yeah, maybe don't spend it on like $7 lattes, maybe cut it down to like $2 lattes if you could find them somewhere. But also, if you have a goal in mind and you really want to achieve that goal, maybe cut it out entirely. And when he talks about the $30,000 questions, I feel like that can also be pretty overwhelming for the majority of people. I feel like, again, like the majority of people really just work a job, get paid, and spend money. Work a job, get paid, spend money over and over. Imagine for a second the lifestyle shift that people have to go through in order to go from that lifestyle and then going into like, okay, it's $30,000 questions instead. This is the mindset you should have eventually. Let's continue on to point number 2.
Number two, you don't need to keep a budget. I don't. Many people don't. Why do y'all torture yourselves so much? What is it, that puritanical work ethic in America? I need to be working all the time, otherwise I'm not successful. And even if the thing I'm doing won't ever work, I still need to keep telling myself that I need to do it. What the hell's wrong with you? I don't keep a budget. My money's fine. You probably don't need to keep a budget either. What you do need to do is start automating your money, making sure you understand what your rich life is, making sure you know your 4 key numbers: fixed cost, savings rate, investment rate, guilt-free spending. But if you don't know any of those things, then I can see why you're tempted to beat yourself up over and over. We really need to keep a budget. I go, for what? What's a budget going to do? You're going to have to collect all these numbers from all over your entire financial infrastructure from the last 6 months, which of course you don't even know. Then you're going to sit there and stare at them.
Okay, first of all, dude's super animated, and I feel like this happens when you're very confident about what you're speaking with. And obviously, couple books, YouTube special or Netflix special, he has a YouTube channel. He knows what he's talking about, pretty wealthy dude. But at the same time, he'll tell you like, you don't need a budget. And then he'll be like, oh, so I have a conscious spending plan. It's basically a budget. Like you're saying, don't get a budget, but also here's a budget for you. And again, this is where I'll disagree with him because again, if you have a goal in mind and you don't have any clue where to start, you need to budget. You need to see where your money is going and what's coming in. That's essentially what he explains through his like conscious spending plan. What do I have coming in? What do I have going out? Your needs and your wants, and separate them. Eventually, when you're as wealthy as Ramit is and you don't have to worry about money coming in or coming out because you have an excess amount of money to spend, then you can start weeding yourself off of a budget. But if you have a goal to eliminate debt or increase your retirement savings, then budget. And plus, spreadsheets are kind of fun once you kind of get into it. I used to hate spreadsheets personally, and now I'm like in there like swimwear. I do 100% agree on the automations portion of it. Like, automate your finances. It takes so much stress out of it. And again, it might lead you to eventually have to get off the budget. So that way you don't have to think about it as much. Let's move on to point number 3.
Number 3, credit card points. A lot of you have let credit card points take over your lives. I'm sorry, it has to be said. First of all, I don't mind if you are spending a bunch of money and you run a calculation online to decide if it's worth paying $300, $400, $500 a year for some premium card, or even $100. But there's a couple of problems. Number one, you wouldn't believe how many people I speak to in credit card debt who keep spending on their credit cards, and when I ask them why, they go, so I can keep getting points. That's not how it works. If you're in credit card debt, forget about the points, which are worth like 1 cent. Tear up that credit card and pay that debt off. Second, it becomes very addictive to a certain type of person. They end up chasing points and points and points. And when
I could see that.
What are you using all these points for? They just stare at you. They go, it's all about Marriott Platinum. I go, about Marriott Platinum. They spend more time optimizing their credit card points than they do actually taking a vacation. If you want to get the free hotel upgrade, I don't mind. I've used points. It helps pay for flights. Fine. If you're already spending money, you might as well get some points. But don't let the tail wag the dog. Credit card points are not the ultimate goal of money.
That's kind of the point I was going to make too, because he's right about it kind of taking over our lives. Because like, free money is tempting, so you spend on a credit card, you get some points, but the trap that most people fall into is that they'll spend the credit card, collect the points, and then forget to like pay it, or be like, oh wait, I spent actually way more than I actually have in my checking account, so I'll save that for next month. And then next month comes and you do the exact same thing again, and you collect credit card debt. But he's definitely right. If you have debt, then your points should be like the least of your concerns. Those credit card fees that you're racking up because you want to collect a few like Costco points is like tearing your financial plan apart. And this is partially my problem as well, where I do find myself trying to optimize my points, but you shouldn't really try to do that. You shouldn't live that way. Think of like points as the reward for spending the money that you allocated for yourself. It's not like, oh, I'm going to spend it to get points. And no, that's not the point. Spend the money that you have and get rewarded for that money that you allocated for yourself. Let's move on to step number 4.
Number 4, there is no reason to pay a financial advisor a percentage of your portfolio. Do me a favor. Text your parents right now and just ask them, hey, do you have a financial advisor? If so, do you know how much they're charging you? Most of your parents who have a financial advisor have no idea how much they're being charged. Like, Chet's so nice. Chet sent me a magnet last year for the fridge. It's so nice. Most financial advisors are charging a percentage of assets under management. That's AUM. And a typical number you'll see is 1%. 1% doesn't sound like a lot. 1% for somebody to keep an eye on my money and monitor the market? Well, let me tell you what that actually means. If you pay 1%, then over the course of a long lifetime, that 1% means you will pay 28% of your returns in fees. Do you understand what that means? If you make $1 million over the course of your life from your investments, take $280,000.
That's kind of crazy if you think about it. I've actually made a video of this back in the day. It was like less than a year ago when I used to record on a green screen. Check it out if you have some time and roast me in the comments. Like, still a little bit cringy seeing the visuals of those videos I used to make. But his math is right. The fees are kind of wild. And here's what I did. I personally used a financial advisor when I had no clue what I was doing. Then I just started to educate myself on everything that has to do with my finances. I watched videos, I read some books. I ended up withdrawing that money from the investor and started investing myself. It's been pretty solid so far. Like, I made some mistakes, obviously, at the very beginning. I lost some money, but Now it's on the up and up, and mainly because I'm patient and I'm doing it consistently. Let's move on to number five.
Number five, investing is actually pretty simple. Why do we fall for all this complexity?
Agreed.
Thinking that we need to know what PE ratios are, thinking that we need to watch all these TV shows every single day. That's not how it works. Investing is more like watching paint dry. You put your money in, you let it sit there for decades, and you become very wealthy. It's only when people try to get clever, when they try to time the market or beat the market, that they tend to lose out. When I was in high school, I applied to over 65 different scholarships. And the first scholarship check I got, they wrote it to me. Not to
Must be
me, they
nice.
sent me the check. I was like 17 years old, and I was like, cool, tech boom, 1999. I took that money, I invested it in the stock market, because I thought that's what everybody does, right? And I lost half that money immediately.
So I 100% agree that investing is actually very simple. What most people try to do though is they overcomplicate it, and that's where it becomes not so simple. It doesn't have to be like buy low, sell high, and all this stuff. Like, don't try to be a day trader if that's not your day job. Investing could be the laziest way to wealth for everyone. Personally, if I were to start again, what I would do, and again, if I were to start again and start actually in my 20s, which I wish I did, I would pick a few ETFs and invest in them consistently. And like, I'd probably be way better off today. And then I'd just sit on that until like I have a few extra wrinkles. Let's continue on.
Number six, a house might not be the best investment. A lot of people still parrot what their parents told them. Buy a house, it's the best investment. I love something physical that I can hold and touch.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, if mommy and daddy told you that, fine. But will you just do me one favor? Will you please run a simple buy versus rent calculation before you spend $1 million on the biggest purchase of your life? And then people get furious at me. Ramit, how dare you suggest that the American dream of buying a house may not be the best investment of all? Yeah, I'll suggest it because I actually understand the math. Listen, you need to first off calculate if it's better to.
Okay, so I agree. Run a calculation to see if it's worth it. He makes a very good point because most people jump into buying a home with having like no idea like what they're doing. I was like a passenger buying my first home. I had no idea. I was just signing papers and doing whatever was asked of me. And I am fortunate because I didn't screw myself over, but a lot of people do when they buy their first home, realize they can't afford it, and then bail. Renting strategically could be the best play, and you wouldn't even know it. Like, you don't need to own a home. Some of the wealthiest people in the world own property, rent it to others, and rent where they live. And I mean, that's appealing because at the end of the day, there are a lot of costs that come with owning a home. Like, if a pipe burst in the house, that's on me. Where if I'm renting somewhere and a pipe bursts in the house, that's on the owner. So I could just sit back and relax while the plumber comes and checks out my wife or something. But agreed, run the budget or run the numbers and run the numbers with a budget and then see if it's worth doing it for yourself.
To buy versus rent. In my case, I've lived in very high cost financial decision or lifestyle decision for you. Number eight, we criminalize the poor and idolize the rich in America. In 2020, Nike made almost $3 billion. You know how much income tax they paid? Zero. In fact, they got a $109 million tax rebate.
That's kind of crazy, eh? How the wealthy are rewarded for being wealthy. Kind of like, it's like it makes me want to be wealthy, but at the same time, as someone who's not that wealthy, you think of yourself like that. That's kind of crazy.
Meanwhile, all their employees, hardworking people, are paying their income taxes and doing their part to support all the social services and infrastructure in this country. And what's shocking is that most of us never think about this. In fact, instead of focusing on companies getting these incredible tax advantages, we focus on the poor and we stigmatize them. Think about what just happened. The Supreme Court ruling that just recently happened, it cleared the way for cities to enforce bans on homeless people.
I think this video came out like about 7 months ago. So, and also it has to do with the in the U.S. So I'm not totally familiar with it, but He's right. And the system is kind of messed up if you think about it. Agreed with everything you just said there, 100%. I think the biggest takeaway from this is don't just rely on YouTube videos to plan your financial future. Pick up a book. There's so much knowledge out there. Pick any of them. I'm sure one of them will guide you in the right direction. Keep an open mind, learn, and form your own opinion. Everyone's finances is so unique to them. There is infinite knowledge that exists out there by people that are way smarter. So just go out there and grab it. The most guaranteed way to wealth is subscribing to this channel. So thank you, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.